Today, I'm going to be sharing my coming out story. As a rich kid in corporate America, it was the time when I had to park my car for $180,000 2 blocks away from the office. I also couldn't wear any of my jewelry. It was really hard hiding my rich kid identity. I know, you wouldn't be able to say, but I actually went through some hardships. I've seen some economy seats and some 9-to-5s. So dear rich kids, I'll tell you what you have to do in the corporate world in order to act, speak, so nobody knows who you truly are. And in today's lesson, we will also cover why rich kids even go to corporate. So let's begin our lesson by understanding why rich kids even end up in corporate. You could be working just for Baba's business. Why couldn't they make your life easy? Why do they want you to do this? Well, the reality, if your parents are serious about their business, they want you to add some value to this. In my case in particular, my parents have business in Ukraine, and they wanted me to add some value to their business. What could it be? Understanding how management works in America. So 5 years ago, I got a job at DraftKings. 5 years ago, we were still a startup, and I was so excited to start making my own money. So when I was going to the office the night before that, I watched movies like The Proposal, and I was imagining what an amazing type of office I will have. So many windows. I was so excited. So imagine my shock when HR walked me down the hall and I saw a tiny desk. I was barely holding my tears, and I ran into the bathroom and I called my dad and I told him, "You're not going to believe what just happened. It's open space, Dad. I don't have my own room." My dad told me, "Albina, I gave you a choice not to work in the first place, but you decided that you want to be a girl boss, so now you actually have to take it seriously." As I was in the office, I started to understand that I have to treat my university experience and my corporate experience with a similar approach. I have to network. And one of the mistakes which rich kids are making is that they think, and let's be honest, that they're better than everybody else. But when you're in corporate, you want to hide your identity. And reason number one is because if people will understand that you're a rich kid, they simply will not promote you or raise your salary because they think that you don't really need this. So for the first 2 years in corporate America, I was trying to prove that I'm a hard worker and I am middle class. It was a hard role to play, but I started fitting in. But talking about that, let me make something clear. When you start working in corporate America as a rich kid, your parents are not going to punish you by giving you a smaller allowance. So here how it works. My parents were actually rewarding me with a bigger allowance now. And then I had a salary. My first salary was $75,000. I was just treating it as my pocket money. So I was looking for mentors. And the mentors which I wanted to get, as my dad was suggesting, I had to look for leadership, who's going to give me a lot of valuable lessons, but I also had to make a lot of alliances with my peers. That really helped me to understand how the management works there in the first place. You know what I learned in corporate America too? One of my coworkers once asked me, "By the way, how do you approach your savings?" What the fuck is savings? I never heard anything about savings before. But they taught me that apparently you have to save some money. So now I was taking my salary just as my saving account. It was pretty cool. I now had my own money, I was paying for things, but then the reality, I was just understanding how everything works, and I knew that I will be bringing a valuable asset to my parents' business. One of the things my dad always told me is, how can you be a good boss if you've never been an employee? I never understood that, but as I was working in corporate America, I started understanding how I want my managers to treat me, and now, as I have a team, I'm trying to understand how they want to be treated as well. It's such an illusion that you can actually be a successful boss and business owner if you never worked anywhere else. What the majority of rich kids do is that they pretend that they're assistant of a CEO. CEO is Baba. They're just pretending that they have something on their resume, but in reality, they don't even work. This is the mistake which you don't want to do. If you want to be a successful rich kid, you want to make sure that you're working and you're going to be bringing some useful experience. Let's think how many rich kids actually work. Not that many. But in our next episode, we will cover why many rich kids are working. It's because they have trust fund conditions. So as my career was continuing at DraftKings, I found a lot of strong allies. A lot of them were my mentors, and what I want to tell you is that you need mentors from different departments. One of my mentors was an amazing woman who helped me to change my departments. So I started working as operations support engineer in financial platform, but I wanted to understand how the entire organization works, because I already had a goal that I want to be an entrepreneur in the future. Therefore, I wanted to make a switch to a different department. So I asked to be a problem manager. And guess how it happened? Not because I was an outstanding worker, but because I had the right connections. And she helped me to move to that department because she could ask people for favors. As I moved to that department, I started understanding how entire engineering works. I would not be able to do that if I didn't have allies on my side. Dear rich kids, don't make a mistake of thinking that you can do this by yourself. No matter how cool you are, in the corporate, you are probably a no-name. As I was at DraftKings already for 3 years, I started being more active in the organization because I was already thinking about my future business, and I was thinking, how will I be able to use those connections down the line? And I started attending things like gala dinners. And that was the time when I realized that now people already have trust in me. They know that I'm a hard worker, and I can now expose that I'm actually a rich kid. Why would I want to do this? Let me explain. When you sit at lunch or at dinner, you listen to what leadership is talking about. And leadership definitely has money. They were talking about vacations, they were talking about the watches, and guess what? I know watches and vacations, and I can participate in this discussion as well. If you know that they already trust you and know your work ethics, this is the time when you can actually start telling them that you are a rich kid. And guess what? As sad as it is, but some of them will actually start respecting you more. I know it's wrong, but that's the reality. But you cannot expose yourself when it's too early. You have to understand when it's the right moment. So, my rich kid identity actually helped me to build stronger relationship with our leadership. And now, let's get the questions from the students. Hey, buddy. Thank you. All right, question number 1. Oh, interesting one. Why would people with bright minds hang out with mediocre you? No offense, just a question. Well, bad student. I never considered myself mediocre, and if you do, that's the problem. If you think that you are average, you'll surround yourself with people who are average. Thank you. Some students are not really nice, are they? Do you pay for your mentor? Around how much should it be? Kate, very good question. If somebody is asking you to pay money for mentorship, never go for it. Usually a mentor is somebody who just wants to share their knowledge with the next generation. If somebody is telling you to pay, that's not the person you want to mentor you. How do I get into a company like DraftKings? I'm a freshman majoring in business analytics. Well, first of all, I'm wishing you luck because it's very hard to get into companies like this. 5 years ago, it was way easier because we were still a startup, but now we're a public company. How do you do this? The first thing I would recommend is go on LinkedIn and look for people who are already working there. Reach out to them, ask them about their own experience, and then maybe, if you feel that the vibe is right, ask them to refer you. It's always the easiest to get to a company through some type of referral. Anyways, I wish you all the best. And with that, we're gonna end this question. And as always, do whatever you want with this information.